Hello, all, and welcome back to the BKTY podcast. I'm your host, John Wynn. Sorry, the reason I'm laughing is because about 5 seconds earlier, I tried to do a take and then I choked on my water. So um, this one's going much smoother, if you would like to know that. But anyway, so this week, I'm sort of focusing on surprisingly a topic I got from my TV show. So one of my favorite TV shows of all time is Community. I've rewatched it like over and over again. The writing is just stellar, and even though the quality declined sort of after season 3, like I still love the show, like beginning to end. And there's this very specific part of the show in which two of the characters are interacting. Now, if you don't know what Community is, it's about a sort of group of misfits that make a study group at Greendale Community College, and nothing normal happens at this college. A lot of really weird shit happens at this college, and it typically revolves around the 6 of them. But two of the characters, Jeffrey and Shirley. Now, Jeffrey is a middle-aged white dude who used to be a lawyer, and he used to be a really sleazy lawyer at that, who did a lot of scummy stuff. And then Shirley is a mother of 2 children whose husband cheated on her and left her. And so it's been 5 seasons at this point, and so the connections and the relationships between the characters have been really established. And two of them, and they're talking, and they realize that one of Jeffrey's old clients that he helped bail out of jail, or getting sent to jail, was the same lady that Shirley's husband cheated on her with. And there's this whole conflict and this whole kerfuffle about it. And a quote that I sort of gravitated to when I was rewatching this episode was Jeffrey looks at Shirley and he says, I know I used to be a bad person, but I'd like to believe I'm not that person anymore. And this sort of got my wheels turning about sort of this whole entire topic of sort of when you as a person change, but you have to deal with the fact that you may have not been that great of a person, or you may have done something that you really regret. Because it's a very conflicting sort of idea, because people have very specific memories. Actions speak louder than words is the phrase they use. So when someone remembers that you've done something really crappy or really shitty, it sort of taints your character in their eyes. It's hard to sort of process that. And now obviously there's this goal that is like, oh, you shouldn't think about what other people think about you, but it hurts nevertheless. It's a very sharp pain when you as a person feel that other people don't think you're a good person. They discount you when they see you. They don't like to be around you. Like it's a terrible feeling to have when you realize that people just don't think you're a good person because of something you did in the past. And so then it sort of evolves. It devolves into this sort of mental conflict where you're just like, how do I escape this? Am I even a good person? Should I deserve to be happy? Well, should I deserve to be okay when I did this bad thing in my past? The short answer is yes. You absolutely deserve to be happy, and you absolutely deserve to just be your own person and be comfortable in who you are. Because just because you've done something bad in the past, what matters more is that whether or not you've learned from it and you've changed from it. But obviously, this isn't as easy as it goes. So when I was sort of like looking around, just thinking about like, oh, what am I going to say about this topic? Usually I pull from personal examples. So back in high school, I dated a girl, and we dated for about a year or so. And at the time, I made a lot of bad choices in that relationship, and I wasn't very heads up about it. At the time I vastly underestimated how big a role that my mental health was playing in my life. I just convinced I was okay, and because of that ignorance on my part, it caused a lot of problems, and I just made a lot of bad choices. It was very ignorant. It was very inconsiderate of the person that I was dating, who I cared for very much at the time. And it took me a very long time after that relationship ended to sort of feel okay with myself. And to this day, there's a small part of me that still doesn't. Because it's a very powerful feeling when you think about someone that you've cared about, someone that's really important to you, and you decide that, you realize that you may have done something to hurt them. You made their lives worse. You hurt their feelings. And when you look at that, it's a matter of like, well, first of all, you shouldn't ever feel bad about those things because other people disapprove of you for it, because that's not the right reason to sort of do it. You should feel, you should feel bad about it because you yourself have standards for yourself, and you say to yourself, I don't do that to people. That's not who I am. And so you operate on principle rather than on just objectively the sort of judgment of others. But for a good while, I sort of, I saw myself almost as a monster, because I was just like, I didn't think I was capable of sort of, making those decisions and doing those things that would hurt other people for the benefit of myself. And I really tore myself up for it, because I was just like, how can I even go around saying like I'm a good person, I'm decent, when I've sort of, done something like that to someone who didn't deserve it, someone who was innocent of the blame. And over time, it just became, it became like a very like a knot almost that I couldn't overcome. And even when me and her, we would talk, afterwards, she would say that she forgave me. And you might think, oh, well, that solves it, but it just didn't. Because I couldn't forgive myself. And that's what this whole episode is about. It's extremely hard to forgive yourself sometimes for the things that you've done, because you hold yourself, like I said before, to a standard. We like to always convince ourselves that we're good people, that we do good things, and that we do our best not to hurt other people. And so when you realize that you've done such a thing, it's sort of it's like shattering almost of your worldview, of the view that you have of yourself, because you're saying like, oh, am I a good person? Do I deserve, happiness, safety, when someone else doesn't have that happiness because of me? And the struggle that I had was that I sort of made this identity of myself of a person that like helps people, that I would do my best each and every day to try to be kind to people, because I know what it's like to have no one. And that's sort of my life principle. That's how I operate. And so after this, it was a very big blow to me, because I was just like, is that who I am? Am I actually kind to people? Am I actually a good person to my friends? Because if I'm capable of doing that, what else am I capable of doing, So when you look at sort of the title of this episode, Unforgivable, it's the reality that I provide for myself. I said I was unforgivable. There's nothing I could do, no matter how much I would go forward, no matter how much I would push. There wasn't anything that could make up for what happened in the past. And that statement, although it was soul crushing at the time, was what I needed to hear. Because the reality is, yes, there is nothing you can do about a bad past choice. There's nothing that can erase the fact that it happened, or take away the pain or misery that it caused. There's nothing you can do about it. But what you can do is control the future, the present. You can do with that as you wish. And then you might say, well, that doesn't help at all, because I can't do anything to make up for it. I can't do anything that will make it okay. And that's true. That's absolutely true. And this is the sort of the grim reality that embodies this sort of episode, and that when you do bad things to people, which, by the way, everyone does. Like I'm not like we don't go all out and murder each other, but not a single person can say that they've never done something bad to other people. They never thought of themselves first. Never did something slightly selfishly. But the reality is that when you commit and do an action like that, what you can do and what you can't do is a really important conversation to have with you. You can't time travel. You can't reverse it. You can't go and say, forget about it, you know? And by accepting the fact that you can't change it, you take responsibility for it. It should never be, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I was drunk. I was of the influence. I was stressed that day. I was suffering from mental illness. The mental illness one obviously has some caveats because some mental illnesses are much more severe. But instead of trying to explain it away, what I learned is that the way you atone for it is just, first of all, is owning up to it. You say the sort of grim realities to the person because that's the truth. You say, I was selfish. I was thinking of myself. I was ignorant of your choices. I was inconsiderate. When you say it out loud, it shows that there's an acknowledgement of the fact that you understand what happened. But there's also remorse, and that's a big deal. When you show remorse for an action, that is what shows that not only do you recognize that the action was wrong, but that it made a lasting impact on you, that it negatively affected someone else. Remorse is what sort of makes the difference between, in my eyes, like good and bad people. If you do actions constantly that hurt other people with no remorse, it means you don't think that other people's feelings and safety is important, and that's pretty bad. That's a bad thing. So I'm going to take this time to reference another one of my TV shows because apparently the season is going to be all TV show recommendations. So I really love the show called The Good Place. It's about the whole concept of the afterlife with some sort of zany details and wacky adventures, but they have a lot of really good points about the human experience and morality. And one of them was this idea that heaven for them was a point-based system. You got into heaven or the good place based on the objective good value of your decisions. But the point in the story was that that people had a really hard time getting to the good place because actions couldn't be objectively observed to be good or bad. So because of the evolving nature of the world, the actions were all seen as bad because you couldn't objectively determine whether or not an action was really good or bad. And so when they were setting out to revise the system, one of the things they said was that a good person isn't a collection of good actions and a lack of bad actions, because that will never work. Every person has made good or bad choices. They've done good or bad things. What defines a good person is whether or not they try to be better today than they were yesterday. And this is how you forgive yourself. The reality is, you should never live life believing that you'll never make a bad choice, believing that you'll never hurt anybody. And it's a hard thing to stomach, I know, but it's inevitable. It will always happen, whether accidentally, whether on purpose. You don't know what may happen. The future, blank slate, question mark. But if you live your life in the idea that you want to be a better person today than the person you are yesterday, every single day, even when you fuck up, even when you make bad choices and hurt the people you care about, or cause misery, or cause pain, you'll be able to own up to it. take responsibility, have remorse, do something kind to that person as a way of saying sorry. Because every day you are thinking about whether or not you are better than you were yesterday. If I were to, do that sort of thing, or sort of like I said before, when I remembered my past relationship in which I did that in high school, the way I forgave myself was that I would be better in my next relationship. There's nothing I can do that can absolve what I did to the girl I was dating at the time. But I can be a better person to the people that I date. I can sort of be there and just be the person that I see myself as, the person that goes out of their way to be kind and is considerate, and when they fuck up, they own up to it, and they tell it straight. Because we're not unforgivables. We never are. There's never a reason you should ever say to yourself that you can never be forgiven. And the reality is like, some people might say, oh, what about, like rapists and murderers, very terrible actions. And that's true. These are terrible, awful things. But when it comes to sort of these things, no one, this might be a bit hard to hear, and it's true. Even criminals deserve forgiveness, but only if they show remorse and if they try to be better today than they were the person yesterday. Now, obviously, some actions not exactly easy to forgive. Some actions you probably shouldn't forgive. I'll take that as a caveat. I understand that. But, thieves, burglars, even people who have murdered people for their own reasons. These criminals, the system and opinions of the people worldwide is that you lock them up forever. You let them rot in a cell until they grow old and die, or you kill them on the spot. But we've seen, time and time again, that these people can be rehabilitated. When given a chance, they can learn to be better. And in some cases, they have. People that go through sort of the prison system, they come out, they become lawyers to defend people who've been wrongly incarcerated. There was even a rapist who teamed up with the woman that he raped, which seems really big, and they made a foundation to help people, who were rape victims. And it's so easy to say that a rapist is unforgivable, and it's true, right? Rape is a severely mentally damaging crime, and it's quite awful. But in some fringe cases, it's not unforgivable. It's like I'm walking on eggshells here, because it's hard to make this point. It really is. It's hard to say, oh, rapists are forgivable. No. Like, rape is okay. No, absolutely not. But people are human. And this powerful desire to say that all humans are abjectly terrible, that when they do terrible, bad things, that you should make sure they just never see the light of day. It stems from the fact that we don't believe that people can be better than they were yesterday. We believe that because they have done something that we cannot see as forgivable, that they are incapable of growing, and that's just not true. Every person can grow to be better than the person they were yesterday. This is a small tangent about the American prison system, but it's supposed to be rehabilitative, and it isn't. It's very punishing. Obviously, I'm using the extreme cases of like rape and things because those are very hard things to answer for. But like thieves, like drug users, even people who used to be in gangs and did illicit activity, there's been plenty of examples of these people re-establishing to society, being better than they were because they were given a chance to sort of make up for who they are. Obviously, we aren't criminals, or I presume most of us aren't criminals, and maybe we'll never have to have this level of dilemma where we've done something so bad as kill someone or rob someone. But it all comes down to the same principle that people are always capable of change. They're always capable of becoming better than who they used to be. Always capable of forgiving themselves, even when other people won't forgive them. I want everyone just to sort of see the point that there's so much divisiveness in which sometimes we don't see people as people, We see people as a collection of actions, and if one of those actions are rather good or rather bad, that's who we define that person by. And it's true. Actions speak louder than words. It makes a lasting memory. But it's foolish and sort of almost ignorant of us to believe that that is the only thing that makes them up, and that they cannot change from that specific thing. If I shit my pants in kindergarten, and everyone remembers that, everyone believes that I am a pants shitter for the rest of my elementary school days. It's rather upsetting for me, little old me, because I say like, no, I'm not that person. That just happened one time. I'm better now, I go to the toilet first. And then that situation grows and grows. Maybe you like failed a test in a group full of smart people, and suddenly they think you as a stupid one. Maybe you threw up all over the place at a party because you drank a little too much, and they denote you as a lightweight. Maybe you made a bad comment in the middle of a business meeting, and everyone thinks you're just not that smart, not that professional. It's maybe you've committed a crime, and people think that you're a criminal, that you deserve to be locked away for the rest of your life. The moment that we as people don't try our best to be better, than the people we used to be, but also give other people chances to be better than who they used to be. When we refuse to do that, it's a disservice to everyone. It's so easy to say that other people don't deserve a second chance. But when you think about it, if that was you in that situation, who fucked up, who made a bad choice, would you say you're unforgivable? Say you don't deserve a second chance? Because you do. You always do. Everyone does. Everyone deserves a second go of it. There were so many times in my life in which I was given a second chance. After I felt that I was unforgivable. After I felt that there was nothing that I could do that could make up for the things that I've done. But I got the second chance anyways. And here I am, living my days, trying my best to tell people that I am here because I got a second chance. I'm here doing what I love and what I'm passionate about because I got a second chance. And other people deserve that chance too. And most importantly, you deserve that chance to yourself. You deserve forgiveness from you. You deserve to look at yourself and say, hey, I get it. We fucked up. But we can be better. You just gotta give me a second chance. Give yourself a second chance. Give yourself a hand. Give yourself some slack. Because then when you work with yourself, when you work past this, you have a way, the best possible way to becoming better. Because you know that your past bad actions don't define who you are, but rather what you do after defines who you are. Whether you have remorse, whether you wake up the next morning and say, I will not do that again. I will be better. For me, for the people I care about, for strangers even. I will be better. You are not unforgivable. Not now, not tomorrow, not ever. So when you may look at yourself, may have a conversation with yourself, look in a mirror almost, and think you are unforgivable, I ask you, please, please, more than anything else, to be kind to yourself, to give yourself a second chance. Thank you.